Thank you. Dana Abercrombie, the Koalition. Thank you so much for speaking to me. This was masterful in what you've created. And one of the things that I really wanted to know was the research behind the looks. We have New Asia, we have all of these different locations that we're really building. So I wanted to know, one, where were the inspirations that you drew from, and how much did the script just help to push that had the look forward?
Thank you so much, Dana. Yes, the look, that inspiration for these areas of Asia came primarily from Gareth Edwards. Gareth had traveled to Thailand and other parts of Asia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Japan. And he'd mentioned initially visiting Thailand when he was young and it making quite an impression on him. So I think that even from years ago, that was something that was important to Gareth. As we get into now, we're thinking sort of 3-4 years ago when he's preparing for the film. One of the things that he did was he traveled to a number of locations, shooting elements, locations. He went to Thailand and Cambodia and Japan and filmed these locations. And then he came back and he edited this short reel and then approached ILM to insert some of these visual components of robots, of futuristic buildings. And so this became something that then he took to, in order to secure funding and to help people get an understanding, along with the script and along with other artwork that he and our production designer, James Klein, created. This sizzle reel really solidified for everyone, oh, this is what the movie is going to look like. So it really started with Gareth Edwards, the artwork, the physical locations that he traveled to before we even started filming. That was, I want to say, a year and a half before principal photography. He had already made that decision to sort of pre-scout and get a sense of how he would capture sort of the cultural authenticity of a place and then add elements of visual effects on top of it for structures and characters. So that's really where we took our lead from.
Right. Another thing is about the AI. I'm interested in kind of the process of how we got to, basically it's based human faces, but the movements of the robots are very fluid. You would think,
Yes.
something like that. So what were the initial conversations to get them to that final look?
So for the look, again, James Klein and Gareth worked very closely together and in designing these characters. The starting point would be filming a human, and then James and Gareth would work together on these shared Zoom sessions, and James would do what's known as a paint over, where then he would start to erase parts of the human's face and add some of this technology, some of this tech and additions just on a still frame. And then he and Gareth would go back and forth to figure out, okay, yeah, no, we're taking away too much face there. Oh, that's too much mechanics. And those frames, along with other illustrations, was really the starting point for the designs for those characters. When we were on set, that fluidity came from the fact that these weren't characters that were added after the fact that were being animated. These were villagers, these were background extras that were filmed, people running around and interacting with each other in a very natural way. And then these mechanical robotic elements were added on top of them. So it was a perfect match for exactly what the person was doing, the way they were running. If there was a mother running along the bridge and holding a baby, that the animators and the layout team were very careful to match and pick up all the nuances of sort of the way that her body moved, her shoulders, the way she's continuing to cradle the baby, and then add the tech on top of it. So I think that's really the reason that it's so fluid, is because it really is derived from those human emotions and the human motions of the characters on set. That was something that was very important to Gareth.
We have different aircrafts as well in this. Was there a particular, I know that it looks very modern and up to date, but at the same time, it felt practical.
Yes.
Can you talk about finding the practicality within the advanced look and technology?
Yes, again, that's the benefit of design. And a lot of this really comes down to the preparation and the planning and the forethought of our director, Gareth Edwards, our
Mhm.
production designer, James Klein, and then the team working under our visual effects supervisor, Jay Cooper. So starting from Black Hawk helicopters, other physical vehicles that we were able to have access to on set in Thailand, and then designing, starting from photography and then seeing, okay, well, so that truth in design, we want to really make this thing realistic. So we know that, okay, this is typically where the engine goes. Now, if we think about advances in technology, then maybe that area can be shrunk down a little bit because there's a new type of propulsion method, but still thinking about space for the passengers and where the air outlet might go, that starts to inform some of the design where we're thinking about it from a practical point of view. So I think starting from real vehicles and then having James design and illustrate on top of those is really what gives it that realism and makes it feel like it's really grounded from a design point of view.
Was there any, starting from the beginning to now, was there any big massive changes that you would say that kind of went through the process where we thought this would work and it really doesn't work, so we had to redesign something?
Well, the designs continually evolved right up throughout, where Gareth was continuing to refine and tweak things. But I think having the benefit of that initial sizzle reel, where the ILM team really spent some time looking at how would those mechanics work together. If you're looking at the fleshy parts of Ken Watanabe's face, and then how would we transition from that organic element to now this more technical machinery sort of at the sides of his head and his spine, that really figuring out a lot of those technical issues early on, and knowing that Gareth had committed to this is what my film will be before we really jumped in and started adding complex visual effects to the plates, meant that there didn't need to be sort of a major shift in direction. I think we really benefited from having a course and then being able to stay on that path and just continue to refine and improve the shots.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for speaking to me. Beautiful film.
Thank you, Dana. Thanks so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure
Yes.
to be on it.